Divorce is one of the most common questions that I get as a lawyer in Nigeria, and there's a lot of confusion around it. I get a lot of questions, in the comment section, and also people send me a lot of emails. And these are most of their questions. Can I divorce without a lawyer? How long does the divorce take? Do I lose custody of my children during the divorce? Now, in this video, I'll be answering the most frequently asked questions about divorce in Nigeria so you can understand the process properly. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. If you're just seeing my face for the first time, my name is Joy and I'm a legal practitioner based in Nigeria, and I've been practicing law for over a decade. On this channel, we talk about compliance, family law, and I also share tips for up and coming lawyers. So if any of that resonates with you, you want to hit the subscribe button and put on your notification bell so each time I post a legal tip, you get notified. So let's just get right into the video. Now, the first question or most asked question on this channel is, can I file for divorce without a lawyer? So the answer to that question is yes. Technically, you can file on your own, but the process is very technical. Even for us lawyers, we have to sit down, analyze, think about the case, because they say that no case, have the same facts, even though like they are templates, right? Some cases, the facts are always different, or the pleadings are always different. That's how we put it. Like the pleadings are always different, and then sometimes what this person wants might not be what the other person wants. So if you're doing it yourself, you have to bear in mind that it's a technical process, from drafting court papers to appearing before a judge. Having a lawyer makes the process smoother, and it avoids mistakes that could waste your time or your money. So if you're thinking of doing it on your own, yes, you can do it on your own, but you have to bear in mind that it is indeed a technical process. Question number 2 is, how long does a divorce take in Nigeria? This is a commonly asked question, right? People, even like when I have meetings with my clients, I get a lot of people asking me like, how long will it take? Will it take up to 3 months? Will it take 6 months? Like, what's the process like? Now, it depends on whether it is contested or uncontested. And this is always the answer that I give. If it is not contested, yes, it will not take so much of your time, right? Because where both parties have agreed that, especially if they are children, in some cases, if there are no children, it is easier. If there are children and parties have come together and decided that, okay, this is where the children will be living, this is how many times, I can visit, that's for the other spouse who doesn't live with the children, who doesn't have custody. How many times can I visit the children? And, how much will the maintenance or allowance be? If there are properties, this is how we share it. If there are no properties, then we can go. But we have come together to decide that, okay, we don't even want to fight for anything. We just want this process to go smoothly. Then fine, that's very good. It can take like 3 to 6 months and then it will be over. However, if both parties are contesting, and not agreeing to anything, which is a very common case, right? Especially if there are children involved, and there are properties that the parties need to share. So depending on the issues, is of definitely going to take much time, because once one party files and say, okay, I want a divorce, and is saying something, the other party will file and say, this is not what really happened, this is what I want. Then the court will now decide. Of course, it's going to take time. Question number 3 is, what are the grounds for divorce? Right, the general ground for divorce and is that the marriage has broken down irretrievably. In plain English, it means that you have irreconcilable differences, right? But the Matrimonial Causes Act in section 15 has listed the grounds for dissolution of marriage. I'm going to be reading from the Family Law Matrimonial Causes Act, and I'm reading section 15. So the first ground, like I said before, is that the marriage has broken down irretrievably. However, each party or the person who wants to divorce must prove any of these points, specifically apart from the fact that you have irreconcilable differences, because you can't just come to court and say you have irreconcilable differences. You must tell us or give the court evidence as to why you think the court should dissolve the marriage. And the first thing is that I'm going to read from section 15 too, stating that the first thing is that the respondent has willfully, that's the other partner, has willfully and persistently refused to consummate the marriage, which means that if your partner has refused to have sexual intercourse or consummate the marriage since you were married and during the marriage, and you cannot take it anymore, that is one of the grounds. The second one is that since the respondent has committed adultery, and the petitioner finds it intolerable to live with the respondent. So the second one is adultery. Then the third one is that, the respondent has behaved in such a way that the petitioner cannot reasonably expected to live with the respondent. Now, this particular ground is very broad. It can be anything. It can be, that the petitioner or the respondent, it can be that, your spouse is beating you, or your spouse is a drunkard, or is something, or your spouse is probably in prison. I can't go extensively into it because of time and because I don't want this video to be too long. But that one you have to explain tire. So you have to explain it properly, right? So the fourth one is that the respondent has deserted the petitioner for a continuous period of at least 1 year. So if your partner has deserted you for 1 year, you've not been living together for 1 year, the person has gone, doesn't care about anything, then you can file for divorce. Then the fifth one is that they have also lived apart for a continuous period of 2 years. Okay, so there's 1 year, there's 2 year, and then there's 3 years, right? And then the sixth one is that, he has failed to, let's say you file for a petition for separation, you are separated with your partner, and after you have come back and the court has said, come back and restitution of conjugal rights. That's, let's say for instance, I don't want to go too deep into it. Let's say for instance your partner refuses to sleep with you or consummate the marriage. You can actually sue your partner, and then the court will order for the partner to restore conjugal rights for the partner. If the partner, even after the court has ordered it and the person still refuses to consummate the marriage, that is a proper ground for divorce. Now, the last one is that the other party or to the marriage has been absent for the petitioner for such a time in the circumstances as to provide reasonable grounds for presuming that he or she is dead. So the presumption of death, the legal presumption of death is 7 years. If you've not heard from your partner for 7 years, maybe the person went missing, or you haven't heard from the person in 7 years, you've been trying to contact the person for a period of 7 years, it is a proper ground, for divorce. So those are the grounds for divorce. If you read extensively to the Matrimonial Causes Act, you also see extensive more, grounds for, the one that I mentioned. But I can't really go into it because I don't want this video to be too long. But if you have any question as to the grounds for divorce, you can leave it in the comment section and I will answer your question. So question number 4 is, will I lose custody of my children? I've also done a video on this channel as well. I'm going to put the link in the description. So not automatically. For the issue of, children, custody of children, what the court looks at is the best interest of the child. And usually where they are minor children, if the court presumes that minor children are best in the custody of their mother, is better for them. But in some special cases where the mother is not fit to be the primary custodian of the children, of course it will go to the man. But what the court looks at is not the man or the woman, the best interest of the child. So they want to know and be sure that the welfare of the child is well taken care of and the child is stable. And let me even put this as a caveat: it doesn't matter if you're a woman and you don't have money. It is not a criteria for the court to give custody to the man. Okay, it's not a criteria. Even if the man doesn't have money, it's not a custody. The other person will be paying for maintenance. They just want to make sure that the best interest of the child is put forward. The child is stable and the child is well taken care of in a good environment. Question number 5 is, what happens to your property when you're married? I've also done a video on this channel, so you want to look that up too as well. So if you have properties, joint property as husband and wife, or you're just husband and your wife is asking for the property, or your husband is asking for the property, what the court looks at again is direct contribution. Did you contribute to that property directly? You gave some money, you gave 1,000, you gave 2,000. Do you have those receipts? So my best advice for you, even if you're married now and you want to buy property with your spouse, or you want to buy property with your partner, there's nothing wrong with it, right? But make sure you keep receipts. Make sure that you have like a line of, you can show how you contributed to acquiring that property, because you're going to need it in court. Now, the last question is, can I marry immediately after divorce? Absolutely yes. Once divorce is over, you can marry. A lot of people, I see some people, they are still in relationships or they are trying to get married before. It is wrong. You shouldn't marry without, getting properly divorced. And the funny thing is that even after you divorce, right, you can still marry that particular person that you divorce, or you can marry any other person. Even if you're separated, you can still come back and be legally married. Now, divorce is not an easy decision. I understand that. Even as a lawyer that does a lot of family law cases, I understand that it is a very hard decision. But at least knowing your rights, makes the process less painful. So if you like, share and subscribe so that more people can understand, their legal options in regards to divorce. If you have a divorce related question I didn't cover, you can drop it in the comments and I might as well do a video on it. So I'm just going to answer your question. Thank you guys for watching. I see you guys in my next video. Thank you. Bye.